ya, puppy.
I feel like it's been so long since we last talked, and I missed you guys. And first and foremost, I want to say hi, I'm Bia. Welcome back to Beyond Skin Deep. But secondly, I want to say thank you for the responses on my last video. You guys were so kind and receiving of my vulnerability and me kind of having like a little breakdown, or as I like to call, a little dump. I just dumped on you guys all these vulnerable feelings that I was feeling. But I know that in sharing my vulnerability and sharing my truth, that helps another 100 people that are also feeling the same way in my shoes. And it really was amazing reading so many of those beautiful comments. I don't think I was able to even respond to all of them. I'm just very thankful that I have this sense of community, and I have this motto that I love to share, and it's my honesty and transparency brings me everything I deserve. I will stand by being honest and vulnerable, even if it gets me in trouble, even if it's embarrassing, even if it makes me look crazy, before I go and try to hide or be something other than my raw, authentic self. And if I'm going to have a platform, and if I'm going to have a YouTube channel, if I'm going to have people that spend their time coming to watch my content, I have to be raw and honest and vulnerable and transparent with you guys. And thank you so much for receiving that. And you guys are the best. Like, I'm so thankful for you. I have some really good news also. I'm getting my first YouTube paycheck. That's so exciting. It's really not much. It's not even like $1,000. But for me, someone who has been dreaming of doing YouTube for like 5-6 years now, and it just now come to fruition, this is so exciting for me. And I know that those ads can be a little annoying, but thank you for dealing with them because you're supporting a small creator here. Okay, I just wanted to have a little conversation between the two of us. It's just me and you, baby. We're on FaceTime. This is a phone call. We're just chill. I didn't prepare for this episode at all. I missed you guys so much. I decided I just need to jump in this chair and on this mic and have a conversation with you guys. Because since my last little breakdown, I have had some really cool stuff going on in my life, and I would like to share some of the takeaways with you. But before I do, I have some bad news. We found another granuloma on my stomach, of all places, where I just had an entire surgery removing all the granulomas on my stomach. I woke up one morning and I felt this really uncomfortable knot, and I knew immediately what it was. I'm very disappointed that I grew another granuloma because I thought we were past that body. I thought we were past growing new granulomas, but I guess not. And that's a terrible sign in the sense of active bacteria is potentially still in my body. And so while we are in the tail end of this fight, and I'm still saying that we are in the tail end of this fight because I need to believe that and claim that for my body to also do the same, I believe. So I'm really just trying to keep it in the back of my head. I have another surgery coming up in another 2 weeks to remove the granulomas on my arm and my back. And I'm going to see if we can just, get this one taken out. And I know that the next couple of, months and potentially years is just going to be frequent surgeries of us removing more granulomas and more bacteria as it comes. While it is risky, in the back of my head, I'm super paranoid and I'm like, oh my gosh, what if, I get reinfected during one of the surgeries? Because clearly this is a very, risky thing to be doing, removing mycobacterium. You can cause spreading, or that surgery site can become infected. And then I would have to get back on the IV medications every day and restart treatment if it were to get to that level. And so that's kind of like a fear that I constantly have in the back of my head. But anyways, I just wanted to get the bad news out so we can talk about the good news. So after my little breakdown, I decided to call my best friend, Alexa, and I was talking to her and I was crying and I was being vulnerable with her. And I was like, oh, I just hate that all of this happened, and I hate that all of this played out this way. And I was like, can you please come to Miami? I was dumping on her, and she was like, I can't, but can you come to Dallas? Mind you, I have not visited Dallas since I left 4 years ago. And I have been super nervous to go back because I knew I know that there's going to be a lot of people that recognize me from like college and old friends. And of course I wanted to like go and visit old friends, but I was so scared that I was going to go back and see my old friends and that they were going to like judge me, or that I was going to feel embarrassed and feel shame for what happened, which is a huge reason why I haven't obviously like visited back home. And I feel like that's relatable, right? Because you can maybe feel the same way going to like a high school reunion, like maybe things didn't play out the way that you thought it would, and you're going to feel like a little embarrassed. That's our ego. And so I think I was a little embarrassed going into it. But when I tell you, I went and I had the most beautiful trip. It literally touched my heart. It was so necessary for me to have that breakdown that would push me to do something as crazy as go back to Dallas and visit everybody from my life before all this hell started. And it kind of helped me like move on and also feel more normal, because everyone treated me as the same person I was 4 years ago, not as like this like different person who had this crazy thing happen to them and who now has a little bit of, people know about my story. That's all. Anyways, there's a couple takeaways that I really want to highlight with you guys. And number one, having girlfriends is so important. Now, I know that there's men on my page and maybe a man is listening to this. And I think it's really interesting because I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts the other day, which is Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. And he had an expert on his channel that was discussing how in older couples or like widowed couples, whenever the woman dies, the man or the husband will end up usually dying very quickly after her. But on the inverse, whenever the man dies or the husband dies, the widowed wife usually ends up living like 60% longer than the man would have, I guess statistically, simply because women oftentimes have more friendships and more bond with other women. And he said something really cool. He said when women are socializing, they're looking at each other. But when men are socializing, they're looking at something like a TV or a game or, some kind of like entertainment. And that's how men bond. But when women bond, we like really bond within. And I think this trip was just so amazing because I felt like so much girl power. I felt so feminine. I felt like, oh my God, this is being a woman in my late 20s. Like when you're young, it's not like that with your girlfriends. When you're like 21, 22, it's petty. The girls are mean. You have drama all the time. But let me tell you, my younger listeners, it gets better as you get older. You start to really connect with the women that you're like in alignment with, and it feels like one of the most fulfilling things in the world. I swear. I feel like I have a group of sisters, specifically with obviously Alexa and Heidi, the coworker that changed my life. I have like this amazing bond. It's like they're my soulmates in friend form. And I really got to like dive in on that and hone in on that. And one of the things I think that me and Alexa got to reflect on most during my trip in Dallas was that as women, I think we look at aging and maturity the wrong way. Okay. Backstory. Alexa and I used to be gym girls, okay? I used to be a power lifter. I was very masculine. I was very, ho-hum, tough girl, like nothing but boss bitch energy all the time. And because of that, I would constantly gruel myself in the gym, overwork myself, not listen to my body. We have very sensitive bodies that depend so much on our hormonal cycle. And I think when you're younger in your 20s, you don't respect that. And you have like all this confidence that, you're this superhuman being whenever you're younger and that like you can do anything. And there's not really consequences like on your hormones and on your body long term, but there really is. And we were looking back at pictures of us from our young 20s. And I swear we kind of look younger now. Maybe not even kind of. I think we both do look younger now. Not only have we aged better, but we have learned how to take care of our bodies better. And this is one of the things that I really want to talk about with you guys because I get asked this question a lot, like, oh, how have you stayed so fit throughout treatment? And, how have you stayed disciplined over all these years? Because I started working out, obviously, whenever I was 16. And now I'm 27. It's been about 11 years of, straight consistent fitness. And that's not normal for a lot of the, average American who has to go and work a 9 to 5 and has all these things going on in their life. And so recently, my friend Alexa bought a walking pad. It's like one of those treadmills that doesn't have anything else. It's just a walking pad. And she's been putting it in front of her desk and watching one of her favorite shows on Netflix. And it has completely transformed her body. And she goes, oh my gosh, I had no idea that walking was so powerful. And I tell people all the time, if you're having trouble with fitness or your health or movement or being active, walking is where you start. If you are able to walk and you're sleeping on walking, stop. Go for a 30-minute walk and do it the next day and the next day and the next day, and you're literally going to transform your health. I think walking is the most slept on secret, especially for us as women. For example, my immune system is pretty weakened because of all the things that I've been through. And so if I go to the gym and I do like a crazy workout, like a berries workout or like an insane leg day where I'm increasing, inflammation and cortisol and stress throughout my entire body, the next day, my immune system actually feels taxed. And I think that's the way that more of us should look at this. And I'm not trying to give advice to anybody, but if you think that going and busting your ass in the gym every single day and you're not getting, any results and you want to keep on doing that, it's just the wrong thing to do. Calm down, relax, go for a walk, go do some Pilates. It's a lot easier to maintain your health when you look at it as a marathon and not a sprint. We're not doing yo-yo dieting anymore. We're not calorie counting anymore. We are intuitively eating and intuitively listening to our bodies now as women. And I'm so thankful that shitty science from the past is finally getting debunked, because I think it convoluted so many of our minds as women. And I was even talking about this with Heidi, because she has had a lot of weight loss recently, and I'm so proud of her and she looks amazing. And even Heidi told me, she goes, you know what? I put all this pressure on myself to work out really hard after having my babies and try to snap back as a mother. But if I just walked every day, I feel like I would have gotten there without stressing so much and without so much headache and putting myself through things physically that I didn't need to. And I just had to share those details. I just had to. Because I know that there's probably a listener out there that has been really hard on themselves and has been really hard on their body because maybe it doesn't look or it's not acting or feeling the way that you want it to. But if you haven't tried walking consistently, I highly, highly recommend that you give it a try, because I think this is the secret sauce for women and our hormones and staying active and moving our body despite where we are in our cycle. So I just had to throw that little tidbit in there. I've also started reading the book How to Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Pelz. I have it on my iPhone, and I'm going to be doing basically like a book review with you guys as one of my future episodes, because I've been fasting for quite some time. And even myself, I did not know that you need to fast in line with your cycle. And so these are some really important things that I'm so excited to share with you guys. Like I said, I'm kind of just rambling today, but I hope that we're enjoying this conversation. Anyways, that is pretty much everything for my Texas trip and my takeaways, okay? After coming back from Texas, I landed back home in Miami. I was here for 12 hours, and then I had a work trip to Los Angeles. And for those of you who don't know, I work for a modeling agency, and they are the best people. They are such a family. They treat me so well. I was working with them even whenever I was doing the IV infusions every day, and they never thought of me differently. They worked around my schedule. They didn't care if like my port was out in front of clients, because sometimes it was hard to hide. Just 10 out of 10, best environment, like best everything, best people. I can just go on and on about how amazing they are. So I'm in LA. I'm working like 10 hours a day doing photo shoots for our clients, our models, and I absolutely love this part of the job. Obviously, this is something that I would have rather in my past life been a part of. Like I wanted to be like this, IG model and this IG baddie back in the past. And I have no shame admitting that at all whatsoever, like to each his own. And I think a very feminine thing is like wanting to feel sexy and wanting to be gorgeous. And I just gravitated towards those things since I was a teenager. And so now being on the other side of it, where I can help these models, get content that they love and feel confident about their bodies and beautiful, I have so many more takeaways for you. 1, every girl has insecurities. I have been in front of some of the most beautiful and successful models, and they too share some of the same insecurities that you and I and the woman who is postpartum and the woman who gained 50 pounds because of a breakup or whatever, we all have the same insecurities. At the end of the day, I talk to them on a deeper level and I see these things, and it is just mind blowing, because if you were to look at these women surface level, right, just face to face, you would say, oh my gosh, this person is like flawless. They make a lot of money. They have everything. But no, that's just not the way life works, and the grass is not greener. So I just want to remind you of that tidbit, okay? 2, being intimidated by other women is something that happens. You know how whenever you're in like a forest and there's like a spider or a snake, and the person that you're with is like, oh, don't worry, the spider is more scared of you than you are of it. I think that's how a lot of the interactions amongst women end up working out. I was talking to one of the most beautiful and successful clients that we have, and I told her, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember I was so intimidated to shoot you the first time that we ever worked together. And she was like, oh my God, what? Like, everyone is always like so intimidated by me, but I swear, like, I'm just so awkward and I'm so shy, and people perceive that wrongly, which happens. I'm the same way too. Like, I can be so awkward and shy sometimes, and I think people think that, oh, like, she can be a bitch. I'm not a bitch. I swear. I'm just awkward. I mean, I guess I can be sometimes, but it depends. Okay. And so I just wanted to touch on that, because I think these are some very positive and reassuring things that we can just keep in mind. And I want us to all get along and see the human in one another. And that's what we do over here. We're positive. We're nice. We're positive, nice people. Okay, and then the third takeaway from Los Angeles is I love LA. It is a difficult place to live if you don't have a lot of money, but I love LA. We went to our biggest annual party, right? Of course, I'm there. I'm present taking photos of our clients and the models and just the scenery. And it was beautiful. It was a gorgeous mansion party. And I remember standing by the pool, looking off into this insane view and thinking to myself, holy shit, I was in the hospital, living in the hospital for months at a time just 3 years ago. And when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, 3 years ago isn't that long ago. And I felt in that moment like I did something right with my life. And that's hard to feel sometimes after a fuck up as big as almost killing yourself to go get B12 shots. So I felt very happy, because the person that I was before I got sick was this very driven, hardworking young girl that wanted nothing more to be a successful person. And my version of success looked very different back then. But now that I have reached some of my goals and have been able to still experience some really cool things despite all the hell that I have gone through, I have another little motto. Going through hell makes you hotter. It makes you hotter on the inside. It makes you hotter on the outside. It just makes you a better person. Like, suffering at the end of the day literally makes you a better person. And I don't think like by any means like the suffering that I had to go through like slingshotted me in my life. I know for a fact that if this never happened to me, I would probably have already touched many of my goals and versions of success that I had prior to this. And so it is really cool the way life can turn around. And I share that because I know some of us are weathering storms that have lasted too long. A year seems like forever when you're suffering and when you're weathering this hell. Maybe it's a physical or an emotional hell or depression or whatever it is. And I know it can feel like forever. Even if it's 2 years, even if it's 3 years, for some people it's 5 years, 7 years. And then there's this amazing rainbow that comes out after this terrible storm, and you get to look back and you look at everything differently. The 2020 vision that you have after overcoming like a suffering is beautiful. And that's pretty much the whole summary of my very busy past 2 weeks. And I apologize for not posting, but I really just wanted to share these takeaways about my trip and about life and this amazing reflection and healing that I have been able to have since my last breakdown. And it needed to happen for me to experience these beautiful things that I have just recently experienced in my life. And we all know how important it is to take some time and sit back and reflect and say, wow, I actually am so blessed, and count our blessings for all the people that we do have in our life, for the love that we do receive. Maybe if it's, not all the time the love that we want to receive, that we are still thankful and we know that it is coming. I don't know if anyone actually cares about this episode. I'm just making it because I have set a personal goal for myself to make 52 videos in 1 year, and I'm sticking to that goal. We're clearly off track just slightly, but I'm going to make up for it. And I have some really exciting episodes for you guys planned. I know in my last episode, I was like, look, I don't want everything to be about my disease. I don't want everything to be about, my scars and mycobacterium and health updates, because we're at the tail end of it. It would be different if I was sitting here plugged up to my IV medications again, okay? But we're not there, and we love that. And so for that reason, I was thinking, like, what is the kind of content that I think we're missing? What can I contribute as a person who makes content that has a platform to this world? And you know what? I want to do vision boards together. I want to talk about how we're able to manifest or pray and receive the things that we really want in life. I want to share secret sauce and mentorship to people of all ages, case studies and psychology, and just things that I have learned in this life that I think more people need to know about, like walking. And so while I did not research for this episode, and this is just like a catch up with me type of episode, I do have some really cool things that I am working on for us, and I can't wait to do it together, especially the vision board one, because vision is so important. I just had to change my vision board a couple weeks ago because I realized that I had crossed off so many things from my previous vision board, and you got to keep refining your vision and refining your goals and your mindset, and growth is beautiful. So let's grow together. Let's make this a channel where we get to check in with each other and do good things together and be better and be our real, authentic selves. And that's what I want Beyond Skin Deep to be. Okay, I guess one last thing. So I've been secretly working on something that I think is so needed. Okay, so I'm going to share it with you guys, but you can't tell anybody. I've been working on a swimsuit line. I know. Sorry, Frenchie. I know. I've been working on a swimsuit line. Crazy. I have always wanted to have my own line of bikinis, even since before I got sick. And now, since getting sick, I've realized, oh my gosh, there are a million bikinis out there that are triangle, triangle, triangle. You get 3 triangles and you got to make it work for every body out there. And that is messed up. And, I love like Skims, for example, but not even Skims is meeting the mark with the body inclusivity that we need as women, okay? If there's a problem, I want to fix it. And I have just received in the mail my first 2 samples for my swimsuit line, and it is modest but still sexy, and it is something that I think all women can wear regardless of their age or their body type, and that they can feel good in. And so I'm really excited to share with you guys that I am working on that. Obviously, we are almost in September and it is not swimsuit season, but this is something that I can really hone in on and continue working on and launch now, so that by the time it is next summer and it is swimsuit season, we're like actually getting somewhere. So maybe I'll come on here in like a future episode and like model some of the swimsuits or something. That would be really cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for catching up with me. I hope you liked this episode. I hope it feels like we really are just having a conversation and that we're just friends in real life, because I'm just your online BFF. I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the support, and I will see you guys next time.